All right, guys, so in the interest of time, I think we'll get started here. Thanks to everybody who's joining us. And I know that this will be watched by others afterwards, but we're gonna kick off our webinar series here with communicating with your membership now. So my name's Katie Holmgren. I'm the Director of Program Services at USA Hockey. And I'll introduce our other guests who are all from the office today. And we wanted to run through as we start to kind of reopen rinks and get back into phases of opening rinks, and people might have questions about registering with their associations and with USA Hockey on the importance of communicating with your membership now. And what we did is put together a toolkit for local associations to use with lots of different items in there that Aaron and Andrew are going to go over for us today and kind of talk about from our communication side. Why they put those pieces together and how you can utilize those. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce everybody before we get started. So first I'll introduce Andrew, if you want to kind of introduce yourself.
Yeah, so
tell everybody what you do.
Yeah, thanks, Katie. So I'm Andrew Ketterer. I'm the Director of Digital Content here at USA Hockey out of the national office. And basically day to day, I'm kind of overseeing the content that's appearing on usahockey.com and several of our other websites, as well as the social content and initiatives. And so I'm excited that to share some of the details behind the toolkit today. So
thank you, Andrew. And Aaron, I'll go ahead and let you introduce yourself next.
Hi, everyone.
Communications team had a huge part in this toolkit. So
yes. I'm the Director of Communications with USA Hockey. My normal day-to-day focuses on youth hockey as well as junior hockey. Luckily, though, I have a job that I get to put my hand into a little bit of everything. And as this COVID situation first arose and continues to develop and change, have been involved with Return to Rinks communication strategy, whether it's social promotion, working with Ketz and his team, as well as figuring out the best way to strategically communicate with members in the hockey audience. So excited to talk with everyone today.
Thanks, guys. And then we'll introduce Taylor. For anyone who doesn't know Taylor, she's the newest member of our program services team. Taylor, go ahead.
My name is Taylor Gross. I'm the manager of program services, started about 7 months ago. So what I'm going to do is, if you do have any questions, put it in chat at the bottom and I'll monitor that throughout. And then at the end, we'll have a little time for Q&A so I could filter those to these guys. So I am going to hop off camera, but if you have any questions, just put it in the chat.
So like Taylor mentioned, we'll try to save some of the questions for the end. So for anybody that's attending, we won't be able to hear you, but feel free to type anything in the chat and we'll get to that once we get through this discussion piece. So we will be sure to put up some contact information as well, but the first thing that I am going to do is, we mentioned the toolkit, and I know that not everybody's had a chance to see it. So the biggest piece of this and what we're going to talk about today is the communication toolkit that we put together. And really what it is there to serve as is for our local associations to use that toolkit to communicate to your members now, because we know it's a different time. It might not be your normal communication, although we're always happy to help you with some tools to communicate normally, but some different pieces to be communicating with your members. So I'm going to show you first where that lives under the program services portion of the website. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. Can you guys see that? Thumbs up. Yeah. Okay, good. So under the program services website, so usahockey.com/program services, we have lots of pieces there. I know if any of you are familiar with this portion of the website, you've seen us talk about where all of our growth tools live and our leadership within Club Excellence lives. So right up here at the top under resources, we've got lots of stuff there for you that can hopefully help you kind of transition through this time as we get back to opening rinks. So if you scroll down, first thing you'll see is Return to Rinks, and there's a Return to Rinks document. We won't reference that too much today, but happy to go over that with any associations that want to. The biggest piece is we know that everybody's part of the country is different, and so a lot of it has to do with state guidelines and working with your state affiliate on returning to rinks. But right underneath that, you'll see the Return to Rinks toolkit. So everything that Andrew and Aaron are going to talk about today lives within this toolkit, available for download there. And as we develop more resources, as Aaron and I recently talked about, we'll keep updating those and might end up breaking some of these things out so they're a little bit easier to find. But you'll see that all under our portion of the website. I will put this in the chat, this direct link, so you're able to find it. But any local associations, you're welcome to use that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and I will turn it over to either one of our communications gurus to kind of start going through the pieces that we have. So take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie. One of the things that we're going to talk about and harp on, and Katie already referenced it, was how different things are across the nation. So really the communication strategy that we've put forward, both from a national office as well as the resources that we can provide within a toolkit, are aimed at providing resources to everyone in different areas of the country under different restrictions, but ultimately need to share the same message. One of the most important things right now that we've found is that USA Hockey families, as well as just hockey fans in general, are ultimately looking for information as well as entertainment to get pulled back into the sport they love. So as a foundation or a basis to move forward, what we're really looking to do is to communicate with members and create a relationship where they can come to your organization page, USA Hockey resources, to find their information and continually communicate with someone within an organization. So that's how we designed and created the toolkit. And that's really the foundation of the information that we're going to move forward with. So I'll talk a little bit about overall communication strategy. It's not all social media and digital media, although in today's world, it's probably easy and understandable to think that everything is done on social media. But one of the ways that we evaluate communication within our own organization is using different things as different tools. So social media is at times a free resource. You don't have to pay to be on Twitter and Facebook, but at times also requires investment in resources in order to do it well. Social media is just one aspect that we've really focused on. It's where we launch our message, but it doesn't stop there. You'll notice that USA Hockey has also done a lot of work in creating websites, tools, pages under our own website even, as well as emails, connecting through members, association leaders, affiliates, local programs, coaches, officials. We use email in order to create custom messages to each of those groups in order to share relevant information of what they need to know now from that national message. Beyond that, we've begun with phone calls, direct relationship messages, finding out how we can help impact at different levels, whether that be through parents, adults, coaches, officials again, and then also utilizing local media in order to share our message. I say all this to you for the understanding of this is something that your organization can do as well. Coming up with social media strategy of launching your message, updating your website, creating banners and graphics, creating email lists and emails that go out regularly to your members and your families, having phone calls with the families and players that you know are currently looking to come back to the rink or very soon coming back to the rink, as well as the relationships that you own with local media and where you can get placement outside of just your hockey family that you have today. One of the things that we focused on the national level as well, in order to pass down to the local level, is tone and messaging. And so this is a term that we use in order to create consistency from all of those different media. So whether it's an email, a social post, or your website update, it's the tone of the excitement and the information of how to return safely, as well as what your rink is doing. So with that, I'll let Andrew get more into the details of the toolkit. But with that in mind, we've built things out from a core and then hopefully have provided resources in which you can take at your local level, update and use as the calendar fits for your needs. So I'll leave it to Ketz for that.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. No, that was perfect. And as we go through some of these assets that are in the toolkit, you'll hear kind of the things that Aaron talked about with messaging and tone throughout all the things we're talking about here today, and the assets in the toolkit itself. So just to start, we're gonna quickly run through kind of the web banners that have been provided in the toolkit. We're going to talk through some of the social graphics and images that are provided there, but then I think really the meat of the conversation is about the social document, which which you'll see is in phases, which I'll get into later. But those are really the three main things we want to run through here to start. So I think first, quick and easy, really, for everyone to implement should be the website banners. There's three different versions in the toolkit. They all have the same look and feel, but really the message is just hockey is back. And it's a really easy thing to add to the front page of your website. We like to say, you know, add it above the scroll. So they're sized wide, horizontal banners, so they should fit any site in some fashion. They also have, there's 3 versions in there, one of which has a spot to put your association or affiliate logo, if you'd like to do that. And we've included all the creative files. So if you're familiar with Adobe, you'll have the ability to kind of throw your logo in the designated spot that you see on the graphic and get those up on the site. And then again, we're using those to link to the registration site. Again, we're celebrating the fact that hockey is back and encouraging people to renew their membership for the upcoming season. So that's kind of what's included for the web banners. I think next we'll move into the social documents that were provided. And really, I think Aaron kind of mentioned this, but you know, people are really looking for 2 things right now on social, and that's information, and the second would be entertainment and engagement. And so as we went through this document, we really realized that, you know, these uncertain times have actually provided quite the opportunity for all of us in communications and using digital channels to kind of build up our community with the expectation that this is where you can come for information, for the most up-to-date information and ideas. And we kind of want to build that habit so that, you know, families who are at the rink a lot know, like, okay, if I need to know the answer to this question, my best chance at getting that is going to A, their website, or B, the social media channels. So we kept that in mind in building these out. And again, we ended up going with 3 phases for these concepts and ideas. The first phase is rinks are closed. The second phase is rinks are opening soon. And then obviously phase 3 would be rinks are open and hockey is back. So I'll kind of walk through these each individually, but really the idea is that it's a collection of social media post concepts and ideas. We obviously know, as Aaron pointed out, that different regions and states are, you know, things are opening at different paces. So that was kind of the idea behind the 3 phases.
And Katz, real quick, if I could just jump in, just since I've seen the document and gone over it several times, when he says that things are put into 3 phases, they are actually listed out for you within the toolkit. So you don't have to dig through and find anything. Everything's very plug and play. So while we're walking through it really quickly, obviously, again, if someone's gone into the toolkit and you do have additional questions, feel free to reach out to us. But he's describing the 3 different phases, and they're laid out that way for you, so you don't even have to think about it. So if you're in a state where your rinks are still closed, you literally take phase 1, our rinks are still closed, here's some messaging we can use, and so on. So I just wanted to point that out.
Yep, thanks, Katie. So the first phase, as Katie said, our rinks are closed, and really the tone and the message behind that phase is we miss hockey and we're excited to return to the rink. And so how can we bring that same excitement and emotion out of our audience? And so really all we're trying to do in phase 1 is keep players, coaches, officials engaged. We can do that several different ways. It's posting open-ended questions on social and looking for responses. Pointing out the fact that, hey, hockey's not back yet, but we want to hold their attention, and we want to use things like photos of smiling faces of kids at the rink, and some of the action that happens at a rink, any photos that you have, and a lot of the things that we talk about in phase 1 and these engagement tactics are really stuff that can go on year round. And that we've found success in on the national USA hockey level channels, implementing year round things, even as simple as, you know, what's your favorite hockey movie? Or a question like, you know, I'm most excited to get back to the rink because blank. And let your social audience kind of fill in those answers. And you'll find really quickly that as people start replying, more of their friends start jumping in, and all of a sudden you end up with, you know, 50 to 100 responses on a tweet that really was just a question that you were asking the hockey family, and you're creating that engagement that even if they don't know it, you're building up that excitement to get back to the rink. So you'll find a ton of ideas like that in phase one that has a ton of social copy and examples actually pre-written out for you to use on your own social channels.
And with that, Andrew, too, I think a lot of people, as they get their hands more on social media, are going to kind of learn what we study and learn all the time of, you can't be a billboard 24/7, or people feel you're selling something to them. But that's the beauty of social media, is that people feel like they can come to an organization or person and have a conversation. So as you start to do these engagement tactics, and like Kat said, if you're already open, this is still an important phase for you to maybe review and have fun with your members and start that fun dialogue of why people like hockey and how you can get involved with your local organization. So hopefully that's something that people kind of run with and do the rest of the year too.
Yeah, no, great point, Aaron. Great point. Moving to phase two. This is rinks are opening soon. And this phase really is about creating momentum up until the point that your rinks open. So what we found to be vitally important, or what people are asking about, are, updates about open dates, any information or news you have about when the rink will be opening. That's great stuff to share on social media. I think,
and to that end, Andrew, we always talk about the importance of working with your rinks. So it seems like a no-brainer, but we can't say it enough, is that your reopening phase obviously has to do a lot with when your rink's reopening. So your association going back into action, make sure that you're talking to your rink and creating that good relationship now, so that you know what you need from each other.
Yep. And to that point, I think talking to your rink about the procedures that have been put in place, and clearly communicating, that safety is still the top priority, as it always is at USA Hockey for all the participants. And so we want people to feel comfortable, or as comfortable as humanly possible, returning to the rinks and to hockey. And again, it's all about building up that excitement. And some of that is a mix of what you would see in phase one of the engagement tactics, but now we're starting to work in more information about, what's the format going to be like for skaters that are coming back. That's information that people are craving. And as you share that information, it's naturally going to make them more excited for that open date and when they're able to step back on the ice. I think one important thing to point out here is, as we get into phase two, I think it's vitally important to start using some photos and videos of your own rink or your own locations as they're preparing to open. I think that's it's reassuring to the social media audiences that the right steps are taken, the right thought processes in mind. You're following local guidelines, when it comes to medical stuff, all of that. But I think starting to mix in some photos from your local rink is really important in that phase two. And then as we move into the phase three, which is when rinks are open, I mean, this is really a phase all about celebrating the fact that hockey is back. And you'll see, if you haven't already, the main USA Hockey social media channels are running with that hashtag, hockey is back. And so we encourage you to do the same once your association is back up and running and players start getting back on the ice. I think it's important to point out that safety is still the top priority. And I think I talked about starting to mix in some photos from your association and your players, but I think it's even more critical in phase three to start showing the fact that people are on the ice. People are attending, people are starting to get out onto the rinks and play hockey again. And again, that's all celebratory. I think photos and videos of people inside the rink, of drills that are happening on the ice, how you're breaking up the rink so that people can stay safe while they're on the ice and not be, too close to one another based on the regulations in your region. I think all of that's good. I think one other thing we found to be successful, even early on as we've gotten started at the national level, is a quick interview with a player or a parent of a player who had just stepped onto the ice. And you can do those with your cell phone, and simple questions like, how was it getting back to hockey? How excited were you to get back out on the ice? What'd you miss most about it? And talking to parents about their comfort level coming back to the rink. How did you feel about coming to the rink today? How was your experience? Did your kids have fun? All of that is great stuff, and it can all be done on a cell phone. You don't need these fancy cameras or anything. These days, the cameras on the phones are so good that you can literally walk up to a player after they step off the ice and ask them to do a quick little 30-second interview. And what you end up getting out of that is content that you can share on your social account and show like people are excited about being back at the rink. And so that's all really important and those are kind of the summary for the phase 1, phase 2, in phase 3. I mentioned earlier too, we've provided this bank in the toolkit of imagery and graphics for social that looks similar to the web banners that I previously talked about as well. And those can be used across the board on social. If you have a message, an important message to get out, but you don't have a picture or you don't know what to post with it, you can always grab that one of those hockey is back graphics or something like that and use that with the content that goes out. Similar to the web banners with all of those, we've included, a mixture of adult photos, youth photos, generic photos. We've given a good variance, I think, to use across the board there on social media and on the websites. And while we've provided this bank, I still want to drive home the point that it is very important to share photos and videos from your local association so that it feels authentic, it feels real for the social media followers that you may have.
I think to that point, Andrew, like we provided this toolkit because we want it to be easy for everybody to have these communication pieces. It's not just necessarily about sending emails to your members. It's really about engaging with them now and keeping them excited to come back to the rink when they are able to. And so we created this toolkit. And so all the things we do at the national level, we wanted to be available to the local association level. And that's the reason for it. But certainly showing your own, like I know where I coach, I would definitely want to show the kids that are in our organization because they all know each other. They see each other at the rink. It's that familiarity. It gets them more excited for when the season is back.
And that's been the number one conversation starter so far as people return is they miss their team. So while there's intent in that photo bank that we've created, so there's a lot of photos that display maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 players on the ice that would apply towards social distancing practices. Or let's say right now your core business is private lessons, maybe not necessarily adult drop-in, or if it is adult drop-in, there's adult photos. Also obviously included coaching photos and official photos as you communicate to those core groups. There's intent that goes into the folder, but ultimately to get back to that core message of the momentum in your area, it's important that it's your dasher boards, it's your rink, it's your Zamboni driver, it's your teams, and people see their teammates back on the ice. That gets them encouraged and also feel inspired that you've gone out of your way to create a safe and controlled environment. As good as the photos are from Buffalo, LA, and Colorado, it's not your rink, and that's going to be the most important thing for your hockey families.
Yeah.
We did get a question that while we're on the topic, I know we said we are going to save them for the end, but someone said, where are the graphics located within the toolkit? And there's a specific folder within the toolkit for those, correct?
Yeah, so it's in the social media folder when you download the toolkit, and then there's a graphics, and then there's a folder within those that you'll be able to access all the graphics and images that we're talking about.
And if this is kind of unfamiliar territory of what you're working through, all the graphics are going to look very similar. There's a bunch of different designs and sizes, and that's for if you're wanting a specific size for a specific platform and you know that that's what you want. Otherwise, Katz, I believe you recommend the square image, so it's the 1x1 dimension. And we'll continue to progress as this Hockey is Back campaign continues to evolve and grow. We're very shortly in the upcoming, I believe, week are going to announce giveaways. So there'll be new marketing material for that and graphics. When we talk about graphics, that's what looks like material that's billboard or marketing. We chop it up into different sizes, whatever your website or social platform might need. We try to provide all those potential sizes that you might need. And every time there's a new step in this process of the campaign coming back, even as we get closer to August, potential for more changes, we'll continue to upload those. And then that's a separate kind of strategy involved of sharing information and reasons why to return. That's the marketing piece of it. And then that's important to balance with the photo and video that we're talking about of just sharing the message of Hockey is Back in our rink, in our area, whatever it might be.
Yeah, and I'd also like to point out that, if you're looking for additional ideas too, it's always worth checking the main USA Hockey channels on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you're looking for ideas, that's a good spot to find a few for sure. And we encourage, retweet, share. Heck, we're totally fine with associations just pulling a picture off of a tweet and writing your own copy based on your local tone and messaging and the phase that you're in currently. So I just always want to offer that out there, that we have no issue. We're not gonna crack down on stealing a photo or a graphic from the national account. So
Yeah, anything we use at national should be used freely at the local association level. So a lot of times, we pushed out the toolkit, we pushed out the messaging to affiliate presidents to go down to the association level, and we certainly encourage you to use those plug and play, but edit them as you need to for your local association. I think it was said when the toolkit was sent out, make sure you add your local association. Some of the messaging, we know that it can be kind of uncertain. Lots of places aren't open and people have lots of questions, but the importance of continuing to communicate with your members rather than waiting and hoping that they come back, just keep them engaged and put your own stamp on it. So use the USA Hockey stuff, use what we have. There's a reason that our logo's on there too, because we're all USA Hockey. All of our associations are USA Hockey, and we're all kind of in this together going back. So use the USA Hockey stuff, add your own affiliate or association graphics to it. If you've got your logo, put them on there so that, we are all in this together. Yeah. But definitely, like you guys, I retweet their stuff all the time. So
it always helps.
Yeah. And while we're on that topic, I think, just to give a little bit of insight into where we're at from a web and social standpoint on the national level channels, I think, from a web standpoint, we're really focusing on starting to tell stories about different rinks and associations reopening. So where hockey truly is back right now, we're trying to tell some of those stories and talk about some of the unique things that they're doing to drive participation and make people feel comfortable coming back to the sport. We're doing some Q&As with some rink operators, Q&As with medical professionals about returning to the rink safely. And then in all those stories, we're including, whether it's a graphic or a quick call to action or a web banner, again, pointing to registration within all of those stories. And then from a social standpoint, I think where we are really focusing in on right now is showing that there are rinks that are opening and that hockey is happening in our country. And a lot of that's been grassroots video and photos that are being sent our way, whether it's to Aaron or to Katie. And I know you said you'd share contact information, but any videos, photos, story angles you want to send along, we'll take them right now. We're really trying to produce a lot of content around that.
Yeah, we're not just asking you at the local association level to share your stories. We, as most of you probably know, are on the national side from the national office. We want to tell your stories too, and we want to tell them from all parts of the country. So be active in sending those to us. You can obviously find our information on the program services website, but it'll be in the chat as well. And we want to help tell those stories. And then the great part is if you get the national office to tell your story, then that's an easy way to communicate to your members that you're back and who feels good about being back. That's, we say communicating to members, and that means lots of different things to people. That doesn't just necessarily mean like, hey, we don't have opening dates. It means telling the stories about what's going on and what's positive in the sport. We have a great opportunity to get everybody back engaged here soon. So
I'll make sure to share my email in the chat so that everyone has it. But we're also realistic in the approach. We've talked a lot about relationship-based communication, the importance of that. If you're more comfortable with Taylor or Katie or your regional ADM manager, whoever you're most comfortable with USA Hockey, we've created a process that everything eventually comes to my email. We're all keeping it organized as we share it continually down the line. The other bit, and this is a little bit social media 101, but as you share that hashtag, and if you utilize USA Hockey's national campaign hashtag of #HockeyIsBack, that's a portal for us to click on and see the most updated content, tweets, and stories. And it's not limited to anyone. If a parent uses it, if you use it as an organization, if a coach uses it, it all eventually comes to us and we can view it. So that's an additional way of getting your message out, and ultimately for USA Hockey to see it and hopefully share your message with the national audience.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and believe me, the content team is always watching that hashtag to find new content right now, and exciting little video moments and photos that we can share and help create that excitement at a national level.
I think the last bit, this won't be found in the current download, of the toolkit, but two things that are coming are media strategy. So this would be working with local journalists, local websites, whatever it might be, as well as the giveaway. I hinted towards the giveaway before. We'll upload those marketing assets as well as the information as they become live. But the local media part, I'm going to share my screen so that we can walk through this together. This might be the most intimidating aspect for a lot of people, especially as people are becoming more social media savvy. Twitter and Facebook and Instagram might be your comfort place. But I wanted to create, and ultimately our team wanted to create an easy way for local organizations to have an impact at their local media level. And when I say local media, that includes news stations, newspapers, entertainment blogs of what to do on the weekend, anywhere that local residents or local hockey families, and even families outside of that, which really goes into Katie and Taylor's job year round, is to grow the game and support organizations to do that. And they do a great job, and we'll continue to share resources even beyond COVID. But this is just a basic setup of how you would do a press release or a media advisory. Basically, the difference is, to oversimplify it, is a press release is almost an article form based of communication, where you write out the article with supplied quotes from your organization that then a newspaper or news outlet can use in order to share your story. So I'm going to highlight the most important thing that you can do in your press release is including your name, email, and phone number for a follow-up. A lot of times news organizations aren't going to copy paste your news release and just run it on their website. That's not a great expectation to have going into it. A lot of it is personal relationship based, where you follow up with the writer or the editor that you sent it to and ask if there's any more you can provide. Are you available to come out and share our story? But ultimately, what you want in your press release that goes out, you want some sort of stated message of where things are and what you're doing now, and then a quote that finds that tone of excitement that hockey is back. That's really where you put your voice of your organization or your staff into. And then, of course, include your contact info so that they easily can follow up with you. Our suggestion for sending this out is, you know your area best. You know who writes about sports or what outlets write about sports. That's a great starting point. Finding a local sports editor, there's not a lot of sports going on. So this is an opportunity to share your story of sports returning to your community. Another potential writer that might write about this is an entertainment writer or a business writer. Right now, we're seeing stories about the impact of COVID on business and how people are reopening. So even if that business writer is typically writing about bars, restaurants, maybe corporate offices, they might have unique interest in how your rink is operating moving forward. And that's another way to get your voice out. Same thing with entertainment. Hockey and really recreational sports in general fall under that category of entertainment for families. So that's another great opportunity to find a writer. The last kind of tip that's easy for everyone to follow would be going to your local media websites and finding under About. There's typically a contact section, as well as some news outlets will include their reporter emails on stories that they write. They see this as an opportunity to create that bridge between the community and the writer. That's an opportunity to really get a hold of new contacts that you might not have personally already. And a lot of times too, news outlets will have a news desk. And what this is it's a general email that houses all of the different stories getting pitched. And then they can parcel it out and assign it to writers, editors, whatever it might be. That's the best way to really find the phone numbers and the emails that you need in order to send this out. The second example is a media advisory. What's great about these is it spells out exactly what you're doing. So this is typically used in an event form. So if there's an event going on, you explain what the event is, who is coming, where is it at, when should the media arrive, and then a brief description of what it is. You list your contact at the end in order for follow-up. And really the beauty of this is reporters more and more today are assigned to more and more stories. It's just something that's shifted over the past 10 years, especially with digital media, that news staffs are just smaller now. So there's a lot more going on. This provides a quick bullet point, almost invitation to come out to whatever event your rink your organization, whatever it might be, is hosting. So this is what people may refer to as like a press event. Whether it's your first practice and you're inviting the media to come out to cover your first practice, there's no event too small to really pitch to media, especially right now as stories are limited. And so we encourage this around event-based items, and really just establishes a quick description of what is going on and why the journalist would care to come cover it.
I think this will be really good, Aaron, as we get back to rinks. There's going to be more communication coming out on it from our side, but we'll be encouraging associations and rinks kind of in conjunction with each other to host a welcome back to the rinks event. And so we'll definitely touch on that more as we get into those dates when we know we're closer to reopening. So if you're done sharing that, Aaron, I'll have Taylor probably come back. I know there's a couple questions she's been.
Yeah. Well, she gets started on that too. The last thing that I wanted to emphasize was really continue to use program services, because whether it's a Try Hockey for Week or Try Hockey for Free Day event, Hockey Week Across America event, these toolkits are not necessarily a new thing that USA Hockey has done, although we continue to evolve to the needs of the local organizations. So any feedback that you can supply on how the Return to Rinks really benefited or some things that you needed out of it, we're going to continue to take that feedback and always evolve our toolkits so that at any given point of the year, program services can definitely help you in your rink, your team, whatever it might be, ultimately achieve the most success that it can have.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron, for that. That's huge, but that's how we develop these things, with feedback from our local associations and hoping that we're providing you tools rather than making your jobs harder. We want to take the best practices from around the country. I know there's certainly people that are on this webinar who've done a great job with all this stuff, and we take ideas from all over the country. That's the great part about being able to work with people from everywhere. If you know you need something that's not being provided as a toolkit piece, we want to hear about it for sure. So Taylor, if you want to run us through some questions.
Yeah, so this one just came in since we're already on the topic. And if you have any other questions, you could put it in the chat now. If you can't think of it now, you could email Katie, myself, or Aaron, and then we can make sure it gets passed along to the right people. But since we're on that topic, is there a recommended lead time for sending these out to the media?
That's a great question. I'm going to give you the most aggressive strategy possible, and then you can kind of fit it to your needs. So one thing that we try to do is as soon as we have the information confirmed and we know absolutely all the details that we can share with media, that's typically when we'll share a press release in order to give them all the information in order to share that story. That can be a month out, that could be a week out. Really, when you're looking to get the journalist to come into your building, some of the success that we see is maybe sending out that media advisory with the event information 2 weeks or a week out. I would then recommend, after sending that out the following day, establishing some sort of relationship or connection with the individual. So if that's a follow-up email or a phone call, hey, did you receive the information about the event we're having? We'd really like you to come out. We've read some of your work and noticed that you cover a lot of local sports, and we think that this would be great to have you out. You know, kind of pump their tires a little bit of saying, we think you're important in this event being successful. I would then also recommend that, sorry, dog's trying to interject here. I would recommend too that you follow up with that person 24 to 48 hours out of the event, reminding them that, hey, this event is happening. We look forward to having you. And even morning of the event of, hey, we look forward to seeing you today. Here's parking information. Here's the easiest access inside the rink. Here's the best station for Wi-Fi. Here's the best station for taking photos. See what their needs are. Do you need a specific area in order to interview with people? That day of communication kind of puts them at ease that if they're on a deadline and they're working on a story noon to 2 and they're coming to you 2 to 3, that you're going to be organized, you're going to get them everything they need, and then they're going to be able to leave and really tell your story. I think the most important thing for future success too would be, once that story is published, go ahead and share it on your social media channels. That way the news outlet feels like when they come to you, you're going to share their story. That benefits them as well. And reach out and thank them for coming out, spending time out of their day in order to cover your story. And that's going to help you down the road as well. So it's a little bit parceled up, but I would say, you know, maybe a month out once you have all your details, an invitation a week or 2 out, and then that follow-up communication either a day or two before, and then that final bit of communication the morning of to let them know that they're going to get taken care of.
Aaron, and I just add too that along with sending the release to media or the advisory to media, those are things that can also be posted on the website as a news article. Easily flip there, that can live, in your stream of news for your association. It's just another option. You work hard and you put together that release. Let's use it in as many ways as possible. So the website's a great spot for it.
That's ultimately how you're going to find success in your communication strategy. If you come up with an event, or if you come up with something that's concrete, how are you going to communicate that? Like we said, a lot of times the first place you're going to start is social media. So you might utilize bits of that social media toolkit, but then think about the website. Okay, if parents have heard about this from other parents, where can they go to that information? They're probably going to go to your website. So make sure your website reflects that same tone and information. How are news going to be able to find that? Have you reached out to them? Have you established face-to-face communication in order to give people talking points? Because people talk to one another, and really a campaign success might be determined by face-to-face communication of parent talk to ex-parent, talk to coach, talk to official. Make sure that all of your leaders within your organization are in the know, have the same information that you're sending out, and can express that information just as much as a tweet would or a website update would.
All good points.
So another one that came in was, since we don't have firm steps in place, should we wait until we do communicate with our membership?
I'm gonna answer that one because I heard that the other day.
Yeah.
There's a lot of there's a lot of questions right now for a lot of places. There's more questions than answers, and this same topic came up on a call that I was on the other night, and it was with one of our affiliates, and it was a committee putting things together. And I don't think that there's any reason to wait on communicating to your members, regardless of what your steps are. So even when we talk about at work, if someone asks Taylor and I a question and we don't necessarily have the answer, that doesn't mean we won't just ignore it and wait until we do have an answer. That's why we put this into 3 different phases. Phase 1, your rink's not open. Phase 2, you're close to opening. Phase 3, you're open. So the reason we gave you all these communication tools is because we want you to communicate with your members. We're doing our best to engage from a national office level with our association leadership, with our coaches, with our officials, with the players that we can. So I would say there's no reason to wait. Don't wait till you have all the answers. Give the information that you have right now. People are going to use their comfort level anyways, but at least you want to keep communicating with them. Let them know you care, because we know you guys care just like we do. Let them know that you want them to come back when you are able to. So I don't think there's any reason to wait on it. That'd be my 2 cents on it.
And the beauty of that is too, that once you create your form of communication, whether that's an email, a phone call tree, sending out social, updating website, once you create that, you want to keep it consistent so that people feel like they can keep coming back to the same space in order to get further updates as you get them as well. And so it might end up being a lot of upfront work, whether it's compiling the email addresses together, getting people into the habit of visiting a specific web page, or growing your social media presence. Maybe you haven't used it as frequently and you need to kind of train people to go there for information as well. Once you put in that work, this isn't going to just help you in Return to Rinks after COVID. It's also going to help when you're hosting an event, whether it's a Try Hockey for Free event. You're going to have those same forms of communication to be able to communicate to all those families and ultimately help your organization, association, whatever it might be, throughout the year. And then all of a sudden you'll see an opportunity for alumni. Okay, well, we had this one family come through before and now their kids are grown, but maybe there's an event or a way to bring them back to the rink so that we have that younger generation come through. So as you put in this work, it's not going to be wasted throughout the year, or it's only going to be used for 2 or 3 months. This is going to be something that you can keep building.
Put in the work now, and then all that work now makes it easier later. When you get back to hockey and you're busy, you still have that way to communicate with your members.
Yeah. So here's a good question too, kind of on that same topic, Aaron, is we don't really have much of a presence on social media to start with. Do you have any suggestions to build our social media platforms?
I'm actually going to have Andrew answer that as our social media expert. So Katz, I'll let you take that one.
You don't want to take a shot at that one?
My one suggestion that I've seen work through social or through professional and amateur teams is just having people tag their friends to make them aware that that exists there. I think Cats has some engagement tactics involved in that, but as corny as it sounds, to, you know, invite your brother, invite your friend, invite your neighbor, that helps kick things off. But Cats, I'll let you get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, no, I think one of the most often questions is that question, like, where do we start? How do we build this audience? You know, we haven't been active for a while, or our efforts were, you know, didn't really help us grow that audience. And I think the first thing is post frequency. I think it's important to build, like, even if it's, you know, 2 to 3 posts a week on Facebook, build that frequency consistently, so that people know that you're putting content out. You know, the worst thing that can happen to a social media channel is they go dark for 2 weeks or a month, and people say, oh, well, why am I following them? The other thing that hurts is Facebook and Instagram and their algorithm. If you aren't active for a long time, that means your audience is not engaging with you. And so when you post content and Facebook looks at it, before they serve that up to their audience, to your audience, they're going to say, well, they haven't posted in a while, no one's engaged. So you're naturally going to get suppressed by Facebook and Instagram when it comes to the amount of reach or the amount of eyeballs you're getting on your content, unless you are posting it frequently. So I think that's the first thing. I think 2 is, like Aaron said, it's engagement tactics and conversation starters. I think one of the best things you can do, and one of the best ideas, similar to what Aaron said, is tag your friends, but you can come up with unique ways to do that. So, you know, you post a picture of a kid stepping out onto the ice, and you say, you know, tag a friend that you want to come with you back to the rink, you know, when it's open. And all of a sudden you start seeing people start tagging their friends beneath it, and your follower count starts increasing. You know, they scroll through your feed and they see, okay, they do post quite a bit amount, or at least I know that they're going to post this much. Yeah, I'll give them a follow for sure. And so I think that's important. And I think, you know, just posting quality stuff and feel good stuff, and really owning your authentic kind of tone and message as an association or organization. I think that's going to help. And listen, like, you can't build social media channels through social media only. You have to have other communication channels. And I think pointing people to your social channels from your websites, from your email communications, from all that stuff, it all works together to form like this communication strategy that Aaron's been talking about. And so
I was just going to say, put it in your email signatures, which I am guilty of not doing right now, but I'm going to change that right after this.
yeah, and I think the other quick note is just jump in and get involved in conversations. When you see, you know, USA Hockey sends out a tweet that says, we're excited to get back to hockey because blank, don't hesitate, you know, reply on that post, because people who follow USA Hockey who may be within your region might see that and go, oh, why am I not following the local association? So I think those are just a few ways, or a few starters, I think, to building that social media audience.
And one bit on that, on the strategy side of things, is a lot of people think that if you get shared by a big account, that necessarily will create a lot of following. What you actually want in order to create a successful account is not necessarily the follower number. If you have 500 people, but they all engage with you and they all live in your market, that's very successful compared to someone who might get shared from USA Hockey and now has followers from California, Montana, Florida, and Boston. They're not going to come to your rink. They're not going to understand your story. So finding local topics and local organizations that might share your message too helps with the local population following you. And on the email aspect too, this might sound corny, but it's highly successful. If you have a very strong email list, just send out an email that says, follow us on social, and give all the links to all the accounts that you have. And that way people feel like they can follow you and get more information. And if they're used to receiving your emails, there's a flagged importance there of an action that they should take. And so that I have seen be highly successful beyond just, you know.
I think that goes back to, if you don't ask, you're never going to get the answer.
Exactly. Yep.
You have a call to action. So that's good.
So last question I'm seeing here, I think this is for you, Cats. Could you show us what you mean by web banners?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have that available to show? I think it'd be good. We'll take a look at the visuals so people can get an idea of
Sure.
what they might be seeing.
Let me just open one up.
I'll talk a little bit about the description of what a web banner is before Ketch shares it as he's uploading that. A web banner, when we refer to that, that's a web ad. You can get as technical as creating a web ad network, whether you're advertising on other sites or advertising on your own. That's something that USA Hockey does at the national level for sponsorship. But it can be as simple as inserting an image that then is hyperlinked, which means that you've added a website to be clicked on from the image. So I'll let Ketz kind of walk through that.
Yeah, so this is I think you guys can see that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is just an example of one that was created. But yeah, I mean, basically at its heart, it's an image that if someone clicks on it, they get driven to a certain link. In this case, it would be the membership.usahockey.com. But again, the example I'm showing here, you have your USA Hockey logo on the left. There's a box with a affiliate logo that can be dropped in there. And again, the creative files, the Adobe files are in the
And there's instructions. I do want to mention that we're not just expecting everybody to be a website guru and be able to do all this stuff. For every piece of it, for the email templates that we've got for you, for all the social media posts, there's instructions on everything in the toolkit, so that we're not just saying, here's all the pieces to communicate with your members, but we're helping you to utilize them as well. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. And if we don't know the answer, we'll connect you with the communications team to make sure that you're able to use these things successfully and easily to communicate to your members.
Yep. I think that's, unless you want to see more examples, Katie, I mean, this web banner's kind of.
No, I think that's exactly, I think that's perfect.
Okay.
So that we got to take a look at that. So if there's not any more questions, I think we'll probably wrap it up, but everybody's information's in the chat for those of you that are attending now. You're always able to find us on usahockey.com/program services. And I just want to give a huge thanks to our communications team. They've been awesome to work with. From our standpoint, I think, as they mentioned, typically our job is grow the game. And right now we want to make sure that we're helping all of our associations get back to the rink in a kind of a smooth transition. And so we want to provide you with those tools. So again, if there's something that you're missing from that toolkit that you need some help with, whether it's email templates or social media posts or something to send out to your members, let us know. I know that, we've been doing weekly hockey challenges and different posts and things. And I know that our communications team, as busy as they are too, always willing to help you customize them to use locally. So if there's something you're not seeing that you want customized, these guys can help you. So thanks everybody for hopping on. And we're looking forward to getting back to the rinks with all of you.